Hey everybody, welcome to Crack Pack Tuesday number 177 on the Mana League. I'm John as always, and we've got ourselves the final pack of Ultimate Masters. It's Christmas Day, I do believe, the time that you're watching this. Next week, I'm actually not sure what we'll crack, or if we'll crack. I'll have to search around for something. Maybe we'll do a super duper bonus Ultimate Masters pack. We'll have to see. But this is going to be a crack-a-pack. We're going to crack this open, see what's in it, see what we would take pack one, pick one if this was a draft. And this is going to a Patreon who is backed at the $5 level or above over at patreon.com/themanaleague. You can go over there and join as well. And every single week you get entered in to win all the cards from the pack. Or if you just want the rare, or if you just want the rare and the foil or whatever, you'll let me know. But this week it is going to David Dupay. So David will let me know what card he wants. But we're going to crack this open and discuss what we would do if this was a draft of Ultimate Masters. So we've got to reorder the pack here so that the rare is not spoiled. There we go. Up first is Shielding Plaques. Shielding Plaques is 2 and a Simic, so 2 and a blue or 2 and a green for an enchantment aura. Enchant creature. When Shielding Plaques enters the battlefield, you get to draw yourself a card, and basically the creature gets hexproof. The creature can't be the target of spells or abilities your opponents control. It's fine. If you're in kind of the blue-green Boggles deck, then Shielding Plaques is fine, but I would not pick this to get into the Boggles deck. As is, it's never a first pick. Up next is Reckless Charge. Reckless Charge is a single red mana for a sorcery. Target creature gets +3/+0 and gains haste until end of turn. Flashback for 2 and a red. You've got kind of two options here. You can throw this in your super duper aggro red deck and get some hasty +3/+0s going. Unfortunately, +0 and no first strike. This is not sure strike. Your creature may still just die in combat. The better place to use this is in the spells deck. You may not care about the haste. You may not care about the +3/+0, but the fact that it's a spell that you cast means you make an elemental for your Young Pyromancer, and it makes an on-tap trigger for your Thermo Alchemist, and as long as you don't flash this back yet, it counts for your Rise from the Tides, etc. So that's a cool place to use Reckless Charge, but it's never, ever a first pick. Up next is Lotus Eye Mystics. Lotus Eye Mystics is 3 and a white for a creature human monk. It's a 3/2 with prowess, so whenever you cast a non-creature spell, it gets +1/+1 till end of turn. And when Lotus Eye Mystics enters the battlefield, you get to return target enchantment card from your graveyard to your hand. So if you're playing Umbras, you're an awful person. But if you are playing Umbras and your opponent did attempt to kill a creature to get rid of that Umbra, you can just bring that Umbra back for more shenanigans. Still, this is just a filler card in that Umbra deck. You're not going out of your way to grab this, and it's never a first pick. Up next is Safe Hold Elite. Safe Hold Elite is 1 and a Selesnya, so 1 and a green or 1 and a white for a creature elf scout. It's a 2/2 and it's got Persist. So when it dies, if it didn't have a -1/-1 counter on it, it comes back with a -1/-1 counter on it. So that time it will die for real, unless that counter goes away somehow. It's a 2/2 for 2. That can come back once. It's not overly exciting. If you are in green or if you are in white and you need a creature, you'll play it, but you'll never first pick it. Up next is a first pick. We've got Unholy Hunger. Unholy Hunger is 3 black for an instant. Instant. Holy moly! Destroy target creature. Just dies. If you have Spell Mastery, which means if there's 2 or more instant and/or sorcery cards in your graveyard, you also gain 2 life. Big whoop. This is 5 mana for an instant speed. Kill whatever the heck you want. That is 100% first pickable in every format ever, basically. So certainly going to hang out in frame here, and it's going to take a lot to knock that out of frame. Up next is Bloodflow Connoisseur. Bloodflow Connoisseur is 2 and a black for a creature vampire. She's a 1/1, but you can sack a creature to put a counter on her, a +1/+1 counter. If you are in the sacrifice deck, then she's pretty darn good. If you're looking to fill your graveyard up, she's pretty darn good. There's a lot that you can do with her. She's not the card that you take to get into that deck, but she's the engine that you want once you know that you're there. Not a first pick. Up next is Spider Umbra. Spider Umbra is a single green mana for an enchantment aura. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has reach, and of course, stupid totem armor, where if the creature would die, you just blow up the enchantment instead, and the creature continues to live and have its reign of terror. Spider Umbra's fine. It's one of the less good Umbras. I don't think it's as good as Eel. I don't think it's as good as Hyena or Boar or Elephant, but it's still pretty darn good. If you're in the Umbra's deck, if you're in the Heroic deck, if you have things that you really want to target, Spider Umbra is a nice, cheap way to do it. Not a first pick, though. Up next is Last Gasp. Well, that would certainly be a first pick as well, but against Unholy Hunger, I don't think it will stay in. 1 and a black for an instant. Target creature gets -3/-3 until end of turn. You get to kill anything with 3 or less power. Yeah, pretty darn good. Very, very cheap. But it's just not going to hold a candle to Unholy Hunger, unfortunately. And boy, are you going to send a signal to the person to your left that you're totally not in black. Why would you pass a Last Grasp, man? But not going to stay in this conversation. Up next is Whirlwind Adept. Whirlwind Adept is 4 and a blue for a creature Djinn Monk. It's a 4/2 with Hexproof and Prowess. This thing is obnoxious because it's got Hexproof. We've talked about Hexproof a lot on this channel and how annoying it is as a mechanic. Throw your Umbras on it. Can't die anyways, and even if it dies in combat, the literal only way, other than an Edict and luck, that you can kill a Hexproof creature is now negated because of Totem Armor. If you want to build a really annoying deck with commons, basically, you take a Whirlwind Adept, you take all the Umbras, you take some more Whirlwind Adepts, and you do some bad stuff. Yeah, I don't like Whirlwind Adept as a principle, but it's certainly a card that you can play and build a deck around for sure. Hissing Iguaner, because iguanas are too boring. It's got to be an Iguaner. Hissing Iguaner is 2 and a red for a creature lizard. It's a 3/1. Whenever another creature dies, you may have Hissing Iguaner deal 1 damage to target player or planeswalker. Now, this is any creature, yours or your opponent's. There's a deck built around this. You use Bloodflow Connoisseur, which we just saw. You get yourself, I don't know, a whole bunch of tokens or something. You sack those tokens and you just go ping, 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 and bad stuff happens. So Hissing Iguaner definitely is a card that you take, I think, before the Bloodflow Connoisseur to get into that sack deck, and then you get yourself some Bloodflow Connoisseurs. And more Hissing Iguaners. Not a first pick, though. That deck is really cool. It's a little bit hard to get into in my experience, but if you can, you certainly want to pick these up. But it's not holding a candle to Unholy Hunger. On to the uncommons, we've got Rogue's Passage. Rogue's Passage is a land. You can tap it for a colorless mana, or you can pay 4, tap it, and target creature can't be blocked this turn. This is a win condition. You do this on your, on your Whirlwind Adept, and your opponent's just going to die. Ulamog's Crusher, anything like that, your opponent's still just going to die. And because it's a land, it's sort of a free pick. It goes in your deck, but it doesn't take up a card slot. It takes up a land slot. So Rogue's Passage is totally, totally, totally fine. You got to make sure you have something that feels good to get through, though. You're not using this to get a 2/2 through or a 1/1 through. You got to make sure you got some beef, but Rogue's Passage is certainly an option for that. I don't think I ever really first pick it unless the pack is awful, and the pack's not awful. We've got an Unholy Hunger. Our second uncommon is Devoted Druid. Devoted Druid is 1 and a green for an 0/2 that you can tap for a green mana. You can also put a -1/-1 counter on it to untap it. So that means that in 1 turn, you could tap it for a mana, untap it, and tap it again. You could also technically throw another counter on it, but then it dies. Yeah, this is a mana dork. This is great. This is a strong, strong, strong first pick. If you really, for whatever reason, disliked black and you wanted to go into ramp, this would 100% stay in frame. But I don't think it holds a candle to Unholy Hunger. I think that's a super, super important card in a format that doesn't have the best removal. So Devoted Druid would hang out, but not today. Up next is Stream of Consciousness. Stream of Consciousness is 1 and a blue for an instant arcane. Target player shuffles up to 4 target cards from their graveyard into their library. Big whoop. I don't care about this card unless you are absolutely getting your library completely empty. Maybe if you have built like a Laboratory Maniac deck and you milled your Laboratory Maniac, you use this to shuffle your Laboratory Maniac into your like 2-card library, cast it, get rid of that last card, win the game. But that's a lot of steps. So Stream of Consciousness doesn't really have much of a home in my experience. I don't think I'd ever be first picking this ever, and very rarely ever playing it. So let's see if the rare, or perhaps the foil, can hold a candle to Unholy Hunger. The rare is Talrand, Sky Summoner. Talrand, Sky Summoner is 2 blue for a legendary creature Merfolk Wizard. It's a 2/2. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you create a 2/2 Drake creature token with flying. This is the best payoff for the blue-red spells deck because a 2/2 flyer is way better than a 1/1 ground creature or a 2/2 tapped zombie or etc. This is a card that you take and you jam into that blue-red spells deck, and boy, boy, do I hope. I'm recording this video a little bit early, a couple of weeks early, but I hope at some point I was able to actually draft a Talrand and do that deck because, oh, I love me a Talrand. We'll keep him in frame. I still think I pick Unholy Hunger, but if I just want to go spells, and if this was actually a draft, I'd probably be a little bit less competitive and I would take Talrand. And for our foil, we get a foil Reckless Charge. Reckless Charge, did we talk about in this pack? We did already talk about Reckless Charge, so we don't terribly need to talk about the foil version. And we get an elemental token. So yeah, I think the first pick is easily an Unholy Hunger, but I think Talrand is a very strong card to pick and force that blue-red spells deck. So like I said, if this was a draft, especially if there wasn't a lot on the line, I'd be taking that Talrand, but I think Unholy Hunger is correct. Anyways, let me know what you would have taken in the comments down below. Would you have taken Unholy Hunger, Talrand, or something else? As always, if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, you can find me on Twitter at TheManaLeak. That's L-E-E-K, like the vegetable, not the card. You can also find me at Facebook.com/TheManaLeak, Twitch.tv/TheManaLeak, and Patreon.com/TheManaLeak, where if you become a patron at the $5 level or above, you can get entered each week to get all the cards, or some of the cards, or none of the cards from the pack that I open each week. Starting in January, we will be back into, well, first up, set review, and then we will be into Ravnica Allegiance. And so these Ultimate Masters cards, I didn't open terribly awesomely, but I have opened Foil Vraskas and Ral Zarek's and etc. So trust me, some value goes out of here. Click that thumbs up button if you like the content. Click subscribe if you want to see more. And if you do have questions, comments, or suggestions, you can find me on... No, I've already said all that. If you do have questions, comments, or suggestions, let me know, or I'll see y'all next time.